Okay, I'm going to get a lot of crap for saying this, but I think it's something that needs to be said, and I think there's people out there who are simply too afraid to say it. You should not watch Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, at all right now on Netflix. And the reason why is because it's an incomplete film. Yeah, it's an incomplete movie if you did not know that. It is a movie that is missing a half hour of plot and world development and story and character development and all the things contained within the lost 30 minutes. But the lost 30 minutes will be coming in the extended, unrated Snyder Cut edition of Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, sometime at a later date. I don't know when it's going to be coming, but it's coming at some time at a later date. Is it going to come out before the release of part two in April? I don't think that it will. I mean, well, I do think that it will if enough people don't watch it. Let me explain as to why. Netflix really only cares about watch time, about engagement, right? They want people to watch it, therefore it makes it popular, and therefore it can appease their shareholders. That's generally how they view success, and everything is boiling down to watch minutes. This is a very expensive two-part epic that they have invested into, so they need as many eyeballs on it as humanly possible. Additionally, Netflix is like, hey, Zack Snyder was really popular 3 years ago when the whole Snyder Cut was coming out. Let's try to replicate that by having two versions of this movie. One of which is the PG-13 version, i.e., theatrical, and the other one is the unrated, extended, hardcore, R-rated version of the film that has all the violence, sex, gore, and again, plot. So it's one of those things where you can tell this is an artificially created scenario where Zack Snyder is basically kind of trying to fake the same kind of popularity that happened before. Now, we all know that he has a very dedicated fan base. I've butted heads with many of them, but one of the key things that I've seen, by the way, I haven't seen the movie yet because I'm holding off until the extended cut comes out because I don't want to waste my time. I'm tired of watching movies that I know there's going to be an alternative version that comes out that I know is going to be better, and I'm not going to waste my time by giving in and watching something that I just don't feel is going to give me the entertainment value that it's asking of my time. I have other things to do, other movies to watch, other stories to engross in. So, in this scenario, Netflix is very much trying to artificially push a new Snyder Cut. And Zach is aware of it, and I think most of his fans are aware of it. And I also think that most of his fans don't like the movie. Let me explain as to why. I'm getting DMs, a fair amount of DMs from people who have watched the movie that have said it's okay, it's all right, it's kind of slow, it's kind of boring, it's kind of bland. There's so much slow mo. Oh my God, Zack Snyder and his slow mo. And that was a complaint with the Snyder Cut. That was a complaint with, I think, Army of the Dead in some cases. There was just so much damn slow mo. The man can't get away from it. And as much as I enjoy Netflix movies allowing directors to go completely unchained and off the rails and do whatever they want with very little oversight, we are starting to see the cracks in that particular plan. Meaning that they have movies like Six Underground, Michael Bay directed Netflix movie starring Ryan Reynolds, written by the guys behind Deadpool, and it was a bitter, nihilistic, and cynical movie that was just, eh. And then Netflix a couple years later said, well, we're not going to be continuing with that particular franchise any further. Why? Because it was really expensive and it was not good. Not that it was terrible, it just wasn't a good film. It wasn't what it could have been. This movie gives us the opportunity to get a director's cut that will apparently be the more superior and better version. That's why I'm not watching it. That's why I'm telling people to not watch it. And I think if Snyder fans were honest with themselves, they would tell you the exact same thing. Because, like I said, I'm getting DMs from people who I've known in the fandom for a couple of years now who do not like the movie. They just find it boring. It's just not interesting. It's just not good. And that is not coming in from one or two, but many. And then I go looking around on some of the Snyder fan accounts that I know for a fact have gone to premieres of these movies with Zack Snyder, that I know have our personal friends with Zack Snyder that were hyping the movie up the day before its release on Twitter, and then nothing. Nothing after the fact. And that is the biggest tell. When you spend weeks upon weeks upon weeks hyping up a movie, and then you go to watch the movie and you're all excited to watch the movie, and then when you finally do get to watch the movie, you go stone cold silent on it, it means you didn't like it. And it means that you don't want to say anything. Now, why don't you want to say anything? Well, you don't want to say anything because you don't want the mob to come after you. You don't want to deal with the bullshit. You don't want to deal with the crap that comes from having a valid opinion. We've looked at the Rotten Tomato scores, and again, don't I always say take those with like a grain of salt. But we've looked at the Rotten Tomato scores, and those have been pretty reflective of what even a lot of people watching the movie have said. Now, you're going to always find the artificially inflated audience score because in this particular case, when it comes to Zack Snyder, they are definitely going to be doing that. They've openly admitted, a few of them have, to using bots during the Oscar campaign. We know that bots were used during the release the Snyder Cut campaign, and we know that there's been somebody I think behind the scenes putting up some serious money to keep this fandom alive. And I have a theory about who that is to give you guys just an idea. Look up who owns Vero, the Zack Snyder using social media outlet that like he was like the only one on there that kind of popularized it. Look to see who runs it, and then look to see who that guy is and how much money he has and how far back his relationship with Zack Snyder goes, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. I think that guy's behind a lot of the money. But this is the case with Netflix, where they have their own hype machine, they have their own marketing machine, and they have really put a lot of marketing into this movie because they know that this is their big winter holiday release, with Aquaman kind of bombing, with other movies kind of just doing okay. This is one that people are going to watch. That's why it's PG-13. But they also decided to not put it in theaters outside of a very limited 70 millimeter IMAX release in only a handful of cities, which I thought was really kind of stupid because most places don't have a 70 millimeter IMAX to go and watch this thing. And I think that they were probably intending to put this out originally in theaters for the holiday season. I think the strikes hurt that. I think a bunch of drama at Netflix kind of hurt that, and they are just afraid to really kind of branch out into the theatrical. Never mind, they own the Egyptian, which I believe Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, is playing right now in PG-13. It's crazy, guys. It's crazy that they're trying to force something that was as organic as the beginning stages of Release the Snyder Cut. And I get it. They want it. It's a lot of free publicity, a lot of very dedicated people online, a lot of psychopaths also that are very dedicated online. It is something to consider when we talk about this particular subject for how crazy it is and for how over the top it is and for how wild it is. And as always, I want to hear your thoughts and your opinions about this. So let me know. Are you going to watch it? And if you did watch it, what do you think? Am I wrong? Should I immediately run to my TV right now and put it on and engage with it? Or should I just wait until the unrated director's cut like I'm telling everyone else to do? Let me know.